All right, we are live.
Okay.
Let's give people a second to find it. But yes, I'm in the yard for this one. I can yell louder out here.
There's not a lot of people in the building. I can yell out too.
What? So tomorrow is morning, and then it's done, and then everybody scatters into the wind.
That's right. That's right.
All right, people are coming in. People are finding it. Hi, Kim. How are you? Come on in. Share this. We have a fired up legislator joining us. We're gonna let Gloria Johnson get some things off her chest here, just to tee it up for a second. I think most of you saw that TISA, the education funding overhaul bill, Governor Lee has prioritized throughout this entire session, has just passed on the House floor. Usually when huge pieces of legislation get passed on the House floor, there's a lot of debate, there's a lot of amendment, there's a lot of questions, there's a lot of back and forth. And that's, I think, what everybody was prepared for on the Democrats' side. And if any of you were watching, basically what happened was there were about 3 amendments presented. Then Representative Todd Warner called for the question, and it passed. And then there was a vote, and just like that, it was over. And there was zero debate on the actual bill, only the amendments. Probably a few of them. There were a lot more. And Gloria Johnson was there for it all. So hi, Gloria. How are you?
Hi. I'm a little frustrated, to say the least. To say the least. Absolutely.
You're breaking up now. I don't know how. There you go.
Maybe I need to get closer. Does that help? Hearing? Can you hear me?
I know. Well, you're breaking up a little. You're breaking up a little bit. Is it me or is it you? That's what I'm not sure about. If you guys are commenting, let me know if it's me breaking up or Gloria breaking up.
Am I breaking up?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like, Gloria, are there any rules? It's me. Okay, I'm being told it's me. That's good to know. Gloria, then you go ahead and talk. How pissed off are you?
Okay. I'm incredibly pissed off. And the thing is so frustrating to me is we have completely lost the democratic process up here in the Tennessee legislature. Because typically what happens, you have a big piece of legislation. It comes through some committees. Everybody doesn't get to see the bill in committee. The TISA bill came to Government Operations Committee, and we were not allowed to ask the sponsor a single question. So it was the first time, today was the first time that we were hoping to be allowed to have a debate on this for many of the members. They say, oh, well, we've hashed it out in other committees, whatever. And I said, my constituents have questions. I have questions to ask on their behalf. And what was so frustrating is we have done so much work. The Democrats, for several weeks, we've had an ad hoc committee, which was, a lot of the members come together, go through this bill piece by piece. Then they'll rewrite it with a new amendment. We'd go through the new amendment piece by piece, understanding it fully and completely. And virtually none of the Republicans understand this bill completely. Even the sponsor will tell you, and actually, I think he did
tell you that.
He told you he did not understand it all.
Yeah, he told me that.
And so we've done the work. And so what we did was we have amendments that were brought to us by constituents, by community groups. They're like, well, we'll feel better about it. We still won't love it, but we'll feel better about it if you can put this on it, or if we can get this on it. And so we were bringing amendments that came from our communities. And we got through probably not even half of the amendments. And the member right behind me called the question. We were shocked because typically you don't call the question until you get on the bill. The bill wasn't even ready yet because we hadn't tried to get amendments on it. And so they cut off half of our amendments and then cut off any debate. There was zero debate on the bill. And it was pretty unbelievable because we're talking about the biggest piece of legislation this body will handle in years. This is probably going to be going to last for 20 to 30 years. It remakes our entire funding formula for 1 million Tennessee children. And they just spent a few months on it. BEP took a year and a half to put together. Why are they rushing that? They're rushing it because somebody's got an election that they want to win and they want to use this. But what they're not telling you is when they're walking out the door of their reelection, then that's when all the bills are going to come due and all the locals. And so they're just lying to the people. And they know with debate, we're going to reveal that because we understand the bill. We went through it piece by piece, and they don't want us to talk on the bill because we understand it.
Right. I mean, that's pretty clear from their actions, which, you know, in my opinion, are indefensible. And, you know, I keep going to this process thing. Like, it doesn't matter how you feel about the bill. It doesn't matter how you feel about privatization, school choice. The way that they're behaving and running this state is completely indefensible. And there's no chance that they would be okay with that if the Democrats were doing that to them. You know, the same thing with the way they tried to sneak in that library bill that we'll see what happens with that tonight, that passed today, where Jerry Sexton presented it as something completely different than what it was in two committees yesterday. And it was on the House floor today. And suddenly it's something else. You know, I think that sort of is the untold story. And I just want to bring it back to last week. You said that, and you were admonished in the Tennessean for saying exactly that. And boy, has that not aged well. So, you know, if you want a little bit of a I told you so moment, here it is.
Oh, absolutely. And has the Tennessean talked about it? Not to my knowledge. And did, you know, I asked David Plazas to come down here and sit. Come down here. If you come down here and sit in the gallery and look at what's happening on the floor, you can see them walking around, doing whatever. The speaker half the time is laying over on the side of the thing. He's so low energy and not engaged, except when he has to be in front of the camera and say something. And then they don't listen to anybody else. They, you know, they're so disrespectful. And so today it was the gentleman behind me who called the question. And
Todd Warner.
And I'll have to say, from when he sat down today, pretty much like every day, I'm very nice. We, you know, I try to get along. We chitty chat. Some lovely, wonderful person today sent me, I got through DoorDash. Somebody sent me some chocolate covered strawberries while I was on the floor. So I brought them onto the floor and I was like, oh, this is, you know, it just made my day. It was somebody wanted to do that and they did. And I gave him one of my strawberries after he called the question. I really wanted to reach down his throat and grab my strawberry back out. But turned around both, and Sam McKenzie sits beside him and turned around to him like, you know, we're just like, why would you do this? And he said, well, they're not going to pass anyway. I mean,
that's not how it works. That's
listen,
not how it works.
So
that's not
work into
like
this.
That's true for, yeah.
I mean,
you could say that about anything.
Pass what you want. Are you saying that no matter what constituents say, no matter what Tennesseans say, we were bringing their voice to the table, no matter what they say, you're going to do what you're going to do? That's what he told me. And it is.
Yeah, but also that's an argument for not having floor debate at all. Like, you know, if you follow that to its logical conclusion, what, we just shouldn't talk about any bill that has the votes?
Let them just sit there and go in a back room and pass everything they want.
Like, he's acknowledging that it's theater, but then also saying, why even bother performing the show? like that's not how this works. And, you know, again, in reverse, Mary's asking, how is this different from a tyrannical government? Rayanne said it's absolutely the same thing as living under a tyranny. It is absolutely tyranny. That is exactly what it is. And I think it's a really undertold story around here. I think that, you know, a lot of the media calls balls and strikes and, just feels like if their role is just to sort of be stenographers for what's happening. But at a certain point, it's really incumbent upon the people who are watching to call it what it is. And this is completely unacceptable behavior on their part. And then I guess my next question would be, will the Democrats do anything to, call attention to it? Because, I think they have a role to play too in letting the world know what's happening here. And if you're not going to think outside the box and get loud when Republicans don't allow debate on the biggest piece of legislation in the entire session that affects every single child that goes to public schools in Tennessee, when are you going to speak up? So,
Right.
Do you think something's going to happen with your caucus, or, is this just going to be another moment?
I'm asking for an action. And so I hope that we do that. I had to walk off because I was so angry and angry and frustrated and concerned just all around that we have to, because we are the super minority, we have to be smarter. We have to have strategies ready when these things happen. We have to be able to react or go on offense even, because this is unacceptable. And just this idea that, well, it doesn't matter because y'all can't, get any of these amendments on anyway, is so mind-bogglingly outrageous to me. And this from a man who literally comes in every single day. I hope nobody asks questions. I hope we can get out of here fast. Are we going to be here all day? Every single committee that I'm in, when I'm sitting there, I can hear them whining and complaining because someone's asking questions or because they want to go, this is taking too long. And you were elected. It is an honor to be down here, and you are serving the people. We spent hours, every day preparing these amendments for the people. And
right. And let's be clear, Gloria, like these amendments aren't going to pass. You're not putting out these amendments thinking, oh, maybe we'll convince these people that they might vote for these things. What you're doing is you're letting the people you represent know what's wrong with the bill and what could be better about it, so that, when things happen down the road, you could say, well, I proposed an amendment that would have done this and would have done that. You're leaving a roadmap. So, the point isn't to get the amendments passed. The point is to go through a process to kind of show what you think could be better and then let time tell. So, again, that argument and Representative Byrd, of all people, cut off debate on the pronouns bill yesterday. And he said this. I said to him, by the way, I have a good video of Byrd that I haven't released yet that you're going to like a lot. He made a big mistake talking to me for like 3.5 minutes, and he definitely wishes he didn't. But but he did, because I started talking to him about the cutting off debate on the pronouns bill, and he felt like he was on solid ground because it wasn't going to pass anyway. And I'm like, that is not the point.
He said that too. So that's what they're all saying behind closed doors then, because those two guys are just yes men. They just do what they're told. So, I mean, like literally when I think about this, I'm going to put it all out there, baby. I'm going to be really honest right here. Every day we come in, Sam and I are talking about the bills, because we have a bill review and we all go through all the bills. And this person has told me before, well, we do a terrible bill review. What does this bill do? Now, what does this bill do? And we'll tell him, and he'll agree with us, and then he'll vote with the Republicans. It's just like they are just
Sam?
on autopilot. They're on autopilot. They do whatever, they follow the leader. Yeah. And we talk about the bills. We debate about the bills amongst ourselves, and most of the time we hang sort of close together. Sometimes we don't, but I mean, good grief. It's unbelievable what is going on up here. And then of course, more importantly, what is not going on up here, and the voices that are not being heard of the people of Tennessee.
Yeah, and I think genuinely, this process thing is something that can resonate with people. We're not talking about the specifics of the bills. Like, we can have good faith disagreements about whatever, charter schools, vouchers, we can talk about that, but process and not letting the opposition speak. And meanwhile, all of these people are, I guarantee you, comb their Twitter feeds, they're all saying thank God for Elon and free speech, right?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they're cutting off debate in their own legislature. So the
And,
hypocrisy is run rampant.
and of course, today they voted to allow the state to control what books children can read. I mean,
Yeah, and that bill, I mean, I think where that stands now is this. It sounds like the Senate doesn't like that idea, and they may save the state from that hell of having Lori Cardozo Moore sign off on every book. We'll see what happens, but yeah, they showed us what they feel about local control, about speech. They passed a bill to put control of our school libraries in the hands of a textbook commission that, Lori Cardozo Moore is only one vote, but if you know anything about her, she gets her way a lot of the time. So, she would have an outsized influence, and you would have Moms for Liberty banning books for the whole state.
and this is why it was so ridiculous, because they're arguing one side, then they'll argue the other. Their arguments are, no wonder they don't want to debate, because God bless them, they don't know what they're doing. And so we were talking about the books, and I was saying, so we're going to allow 12, because they were like, it's all about, oh, well, the parents get to decide. Well, these 12 people aren't parents necessarily, and many of them don't have kids at school. They're not. I said, are any of them child development experts? Are they librarians?
Nope.
Are they teachers? Do they have any sort of experience with youth and psychology or any of those things? No. And then he goes, well, my mom raised 10 kids and she didn't have to go to school to know what books we can read. But the whole point is, yes, your mom can decide what you guys can read. Okay?
Right.
But
we can't decide what other kids can read.
Get to decide what all of Williamson County gets to read. That is crazy talk. That's fascism. It's crazy talk. Because I kept saying, you can stop your kids from reading any book in the library that you want to stop them from reading. But you don't get to stop my kids from reading. And if we took the books that this group, chosen by you-know-who, are going to select, there will be no Black authors, or very few, none of the good ones. There will be no brown authors. There will be no Native American authors. There will be no LGBTQ authors. Am I alone here, Justin? You disappeared. But we will have none. How our libraries, when your library is small and you have very few choices, that makes our kids' world smaller and smaller. We need to expand our kids' horizons, not make their worlds smaller with a very clean, pale male and frail bunch of books written by old white people. I mean, seriously. That's what we are going to end up. We're going to end up probably with racism and sexism, and who knows what else. I mean, it's just shocking to me that they do not understand that this is terrible. And this was on the speaker's bill. This person that I am proudly the member who voted against for speaker, because I knew it was.
Yeah, I think the one thing we can all say for sure. Can you hear me right now?
Yeah.
Okay. The one thing we can all say for sure is that you've been out in front of a lot of this stuff. I mean, you getting stuck in that closet was foreshadowing for a lot of what we're seeing right now, and the way that you exposed that was by not voting for him for speaker. So, you sort of told people what was coming. It's kind of the same way that, by protesting against, for 62 days and getting Republicans to pass that bill, those protesters showed the heart and soul of Governor Lee and the legislature. So, sometimes the action isn't the point. Drawing the reaction is the point. so that people can see what those people are really about. And that's why I think it's important for right now in this moment, Democrats to do something to show that, this won't stand without some sort of backlash, because otherwise it's going to happen again and it's going to get worse. So, it's incumbent, I think, upon Democrats to do something, not out of fear of the reaction, but almost to draw that whatever that reaction is going to
No,
be.
absolutely to draw it, because the reality is we are so in their heads that they can hardly function. We could pull them off task so easily because they're so worried about us getting a word in, or us, they're terrified that Justin Jones is running for office.
Yeah.
They're really nice to him, but boy, the speaker has revealed in the last few days that is in his head.
Yeah, he doesn't want that.
Living rent free in his head hard. And so, we're getting under their skin. We just need to keep pushing until they, kind of blow up about it, because we are only doing the things that we are supposed to be doing in government. And it's upsetting them that the press is paying attention to the things that we are saying. The press is paying attention to the criminalizing homeless. The press is paying attention to harassing LGBTQ. The press is paying attention to the nasty stuff they're doing. And now the press started coming out with legitimate articles about TISA and how it's not so great. And I think they're kind of off kilter and don't know what to do, because I don't know if you saw today, but Patsy Hazelwood was basically whining about the press as she was running a bill tonight. She was saying, the press won't talk about how we're giving everybody $23 off of their wheel tax. Because who cares? It's one time, 20-something dollars. I mean, it's nice. We can do that. But she's so furious, and they give
and that's the thing, Gloria. It's like, not to be insulting to anybody, but like I watch the legislature pretty closely, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I can say that with a little bit of confidence. And like, I know Democrats have passed bills here and there, but like I couldn't name them.
Yeah.
Like so these bills that like they're like, no, we need to make sure we get some bills passed and we need to legislate and be a part of the process. It's like, what are they actually letting you do? Because, if your bill really mattered, like really helped a lot of people, they wouldn't let it pass. So, I know that it seems like they give Democrats just enough to make them feel like, keep them in line and but not enough to really make a difference and an impact. And so at a certain point, you got to stop playing by their rules and stop playing their game and turn over the chessboard. And you can't do that alone. I know you've been trying to, but you can't do that alone.
I can proudly say they don't come to me and say, if you'll do this, we'll pass your bill. They know better than that. I'm not going to play those games. Now, I will, I'll compromise as far as writing a bill. And if we add this to it, then we can do it. But here's the thing. I had a bill. It got through all the committees. It got through the first level of finance. It's a good bill. It helps make sure we have childcare. They really need that bill. Just like last year, they needed my education bill for teachers. And they knew they needed it. And instead of letting me pass it, they literally stole it from me.
I remember that.
And so they took it. Well, take my bills. I don't care. Take them and run them. But this one they just threw out. We had several Democratic bills that were behind the budget. And that means, if they're not funded in the budget, then they don't pass. Well, because it was under the limit, my bill was funded in the Senate because it passed in the Senate. And so it's funded. They threw it out anyway. And they threw out a bunch of all the D bills that were behind the budget because, and some of them were in the situation like mine. They were already funded, but they just didn't let them go.
Yeah, it's infuriating. And, I think we all kind of see it for what it is, but it's hard, and I know that it's difficult because, nothing's going to change tomorrow, and so you have to like understand that this is part of a process that may not pay dividends for a long time, but just to let them keep doing stuff. I mean, this was one of the most, in the last 2 days, frankly, under Speaker
Yeah.
Sexton, who present like with Cassida, he seemed to like enjoy looking like the villain and being the villain. You know, he didn't care that he looked like the villain and also was the villain. But Sexton seems to like present himself as this like studious guy with glasses who's not really the villain, but he actually is a pretty villainous guy. And the last 2 days between that library bill that was snuck in at the last minute and this not allowing debate on TISA, those are two of the worst things I've seen happen in the legislature. And, those are Sexton.
And they were all discussing it because I look around and I could see Rep Warner behind me he was texting back and forth with somebody. So they were discussing the whole calling the question deal. And,
Oh, you mean like it wasn't like don't think it wasn't Sexton. It was Sexton.
Oh, yeah. Well, or Lambert.
Of course.
I'd say it was probably Lambert. Lambert or Sexton or both. I mean,
yeah, of course.
Nobody there.
Todd Warner doesn't have the stones to do that on his own.
Yeah, somebody probably told Lambert or Sexton for all I don't know who's running them because none of them really seem like idea folks. That's just me.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on here doing this. I think, everybody obviously knows where to find you and appreciates what you do. Just as a final thought, like, what do you want people to take away from this?
Well, people are so good and they're all, sending me well wishes and all that. And like somebody sent me the chocolate covered strawberries on the floor today. And it is so wonderful and it's so helpful. And then people were asking, what can I do? And you can elect Democrats. But the other thing is we have got to do a better job next year during session, organizing you all. We have to have, when session opens that day, we need 2,000 people down here on Legislative Plaza calling for the things that they want in the legislative session. We need an action down here every week with lots of people.
Yeah, that wasn't here this time. I've been down here 3 years now, maybe 4 years now. And this was the least attended session by regular Tennesseans and the media, and it's not close.
And I know that people are tired and there was COVID and all of that, but we lost so much of our democratic processes this year, and I don't see us getting them back.
And by the way, I think people need to know that the few times that people did show up, it worked.
Yes.
I mean, the bills that they showed up for, that people filled the audience for, tended to get sent to summer. I can name. There were a bunch of them that people showed up for, made their voices heard, got in front of the cameras, and those bills did not pass. So that stuff does work.
And I think, I would have loved to have seen teachers walk out of the classroom and come down here 5,000 strong. That would have stopped it. That's the only thing that would have or could have stopped it.
Yeah. But you mean TISA? You mean if the educators came down, that would have been the one thing. Yeah.
Because that they didn't listen to a single teacher on this bill. They didn't listen to a single administrator nor a single superintendent. They thought they could go out to all the counties and tell folks, y'all are going to get a lot more money, which by the way is a big fat lie. And if you believe that, sucker.
Yeah, well, it's true, but it's not true because of TISA. It's true because of the $1 billion they're adding that they could have added anyway.
Well, they could add it to the BEP. That's what I said today. They're acting like it's either BEP or TISA. No, that's not true. It could be BEP. It could be something similar to TISA. But what we should do is sit down at the table with what they have, which to me is a shell, because the rules aren't made. There's not a single detail or number in that bill. And so what you do is you sit down and you bring teachers to the table and you bring administrators to the table and superintendents, and you ask them how this is going to work.
Right. And see, here's how you know it's a scam is they say they did all that before they had the bill.
Right.
So they did it backwards. And by the way, we don't know like what really happened there, but they say, oh, we had these 18 committees with educators and principals and all these people. But we did that before. And this is what came out, as opposed to here's the bill. Let's talk about it. They like set it up in reverse.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was all a scam and a sham. And I sent you those videos. I don't know if there's anything there, but I was so angry when they cut off debate. I walked outside, and of course, as I walk outside, all the gazillion of high dollar lobbyists are coming down this. Everything is there. It's over for them. They got what they wanted. You know, their bill passed. Penny Schwinn comes walking down, and Mark White comes out, and he's, you know, Penny Schwinn and some department people and Mark White in a huddle with lobbyists. You know, it's so gross. Those, you know, those lobbyists out there with their high fives and all of this stuff because they screwed 1 million Tennessee students.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's end it there, Gloria. Thanks for what you do.
Okay.
Everybody stay tuned. There's another, you know, I think 12 hours left in this session, and then it'll be on to campaigns and stuff. Obviously, you know where to find Gloria. She's running again, and she's got a election to worry about. And, you know, hopefully next session we can look back at this session and figure out, you know, how to fix things a little bit. Appreciate you guys following. Stay tuned. And Gloria, thanks for what you do.
See ya.